Two of this year's most highly touted quarterback prospects will go head-to-head when Oregon takes on top-seeded Indiana on Friday with a trip to the national championship on the line. This will be the second time these two teams faced off this season, with Fernando Mendoza and the Hoosiers getting the best of Dante Moore and the Ducks in their first matchup. Jordan Reed, one of our NFL draft analysts, released his mock draft this morning, and he currently has both of these quarterbacks being drafted with the first two picks. Reed has the Raiders drafting Mendoza and the Jets taking Dante Moore. Paul Feinbaum back here with us. And Paul, with both of these teams playing, Oregon and Indiana going head-to-head, whoever wins this matchup, will that quarterback go first overall in the NFL draft?
I don't think so. And I know it's an important game, and I know it's a head-to-head, and the last time it really wasn't Moore's fault. He was harassed by the Indiana defenders. I mean, he couldn't do anything. He was sacked 6 times. He was intercepted. He fumbled. He literally could not shake it off. But I think you have to remember, I mean, this game is in early January. The draft is 3 months off, and there's so many other factors that go into it. I think it would help Dante Moore. But right now, I'm going to land on Mendoza to be the #1 pick, short of just a cataclysmic game here.
Stephen A., who do you think?
I don't knock him for that. Mendoza, I mean, listen, he had the best play in college football this season. Great call by my brother Gus Johnson. I mean, that was a fantastic. They're imitating it, lip syncing it on social media. Hilarious. Mendoza in trouble. I mean, it was hilarious. I mean, oh my goodness. It's just, oh my Cooper. It's a phenomenal call by Gus Johnson. But I will tell you that Mendoza's had some big moments. A lot of people look at him. You haven't been hearing that much about Dante Moore. We know he can ball, but the six sacks against Indiana, the 21 pressures that game, they were all over him, and obviously it rattled him a bit, and Indiana won that game. If that happens again, then obviously it's going to be an excuse to lean even further to Mendoza, and I don't know anybody who's thinking that Oregon's going to beat Indiana, that some change is going to happen, come Friday night when we go up against when they go up against these cats. So we understand that as well. But I do think that if Dante Moore comes out and flat out balls and thoroughly outplays Mendoza, that could change things. These are NFL scouts we're talking about here. These games matter. It matters more at times than it does in basketball, which annoys me. I mean, to this very day. Listen, I respect the hell out of Lonzo Ball, really good kid. But Magic Johnson, only argument I ever got into with Magic Johnson, all the years that I've known him, was that. I said, don't pick him. De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox. I've seen this, man.
Seen him at Kentucky.
I saw what he did at Kentucky. Yep. I saw what he did against Lonzo Ball. Yo, that guy, I'm just telling you. But he's Chino Hills, business decision, Lakers. I like De'Aaron Fox. I'm telling you, have him at the then Staples Center before it became Crypto.com Arena. I'm telling you, football, you ain't got to do that. You go out there and you thoroughly outplay somebody, a contemporary, particularly when you're going up against a tough defense. That goes a long, long way. And if that happens, we'll be having a different conversation. But right now, Paul is right. It's about Mendoza.
It's so rare we get two premier quarterbacks going at it in a big college football game of this nature. I think back, and Paul, you might want to, there's probably a Deshaun Watson game against Tua, something like that in the history. But I think a Jameis went up against Mariota in the Rose Bowl a couple years back. It's about a decade now. And that had that feel of, okay, win this game. You could be the first pick in the draft. You can make a real statement. This one here is the classic case of Mendoza, Heisman. We've been telling his story all season long, played amazing last week, versus Moore, who's 20 years old, has all the athletic ability in the world, is a 5-star high school recruit, where Mendoza was a 1-star. Yep. Dante Moore we've been hearing about since he was in middle school. He's been that talented, but he hasn't had that big moment. He hasn't had that big game where he's like, put it on my back. Obviously, Penn State, that game goes as it is, but it wasn't like Dante Moore was the reason that this all went this way. It was because they had this incredible performance by the whole team. If Dante Moore goes out there and throws for like 300 yards and runs all over that Indiana defense, you better believe NFL scouts are going to raise their eyebrows. That said, NFL scouts think that they know all, and for most part, these NFL scouts who I speak with, they're pretty much firm with their draft board right now that Mendoza's the #1 guy, and Dante Moore is an interesting prospect because he's so young and has been such untapped potential.
We also got to remember that Texas Tech caused them some problems offensively. Oregon was a bit they were a bit limited, to say the least, because of that defense, okay? Well, if you were limited by them, what the hell are you expecting against Indiana? So that goes a long way in and of itself. And then when you're about Indiana, it ain't just about Omar Cooper. You also got Beckett, who's been playing well.
Great.
He's been playing really, no question about it. So I'm looking at it from that standpoint. I'm saying to myself, you know what, Becker, if these cats show up for Mendoza, it could be a long night for Oregon. I just got faith in their coach that he'll have them ready to play.
They'll be ready.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Paul, I'll give you the final word on it.
Yeah, and Stephen, you mentioned the coach, and I think this is also a very important game for Dan Lanning. He has been this superstar coach who has struggled in big games. Now, he got past Texas Tech the other day, and that was an important milestone. But last year, remember, as the #1 seed in the entire tournament, he laid one of the worst eggs ever against Ohio State, who probably should have been the #1 seed, but remember, they lost to Michigan. So he's Dante Moore's coach. He's an outstanding guy who has had opportunities to go everywhere, including Alabama, instead of Kalen DeBoer. So I'm watching him as well as his quarterback in this game on Friday night.
Yeah, it just feels like Fernando Mendoza might have it locked up. Go ahead. You want to add?
I'll just add real quick. There's also the option that Dante Moore, at 20 years old, returns to Oregon.
Returns, yes.
Makes as
That's
much
the other
money
thing.
as he would as a rookie.
Exactly.
And avoids a possible destination with the Jets, if that's a real thing.
Hey.
I didn't want to say it.
I
didn't mean to do that.
Let me tell you something right now.
Do that.
If he avoids the destination, if the goal is to avoid the destination with the New York Jets, I don't blame him one bit. Listen, again, we talked about Oxford, Mississippi, and all this stuff. Listen, I am a proponent for black coaches. I want them to have opportunities, but I'm fair. When you get it and you wet the bed with it, it's a different matter. Aaron Glenn, it is shocking that he is still a head coach of the New York Jets today. It is shocking because they look bad all season. But when you combine that with how bad they looked in the month of December, I wouldn't blame, if a player could, I wouldn't blame him for boycotting to make sure he stayed away from the Jets. That's how bad the Jets were. It's bad. It's very bad. And there's no way in hell a quarterback should want to go to the New York Jets right now.
The shame of it is the Jets did a process where they interviewed 20 different head coaching candidates last year. That's a lot, but it's 15 to 20. And they didn't meet with Liam Cohen. They didn't meet with Kellen Moore. They didn't meet with Ben Johnson. They didn't meet with Cliff
Something's wrong with Woody Johnson. Something's wrong with him.
So
it's the black cat. You keep talking about it.
Something's wrong with Woody Johnson.
So when you don't meet with any offensive coaches and you now have this prominent college quarterback, Aaron Glenn's an inspirational leader and he's got a defensive background, but
not right now. I mean, I'm saying the inspirational leader part went out the window.
You tell me Ben Johnson's the coach? You tell me Liam Cohen's the coach? Okay, well.
Well, not just that. Let's not forget McDonald in Seattle. I know that wasn't last year. I mean, it's been the last couple of years. But I'm saying he's a defensive mind. I mean, because of what he's doing in Seattle, now all of a sudden you may not need to just look at offensive coaches. You might want to look at defensive-minded coaches, which the Jets did this last year with the last offseason with Aaron Glenn.
And Saleh before that.
Saleh before that. Well, damn it, it ain't working. It ain't working. Listen, Saleh didn't have the Jets looking this bad. This is historically bad. The New York Jets are a football atrocity. Atrocity.
Whole season, no interceptions. Whole season, no interceptions on that defense. Something you've never seen.
And Aaron Glenn had 6 pick sixes in his career.
It's crazy.
6 pick sixes in his career and 41 interceptions.
It's crazy.
They've got a lot of cap space. They have all these draft picks. It's basically an expansion team, which we can roll our eyes at, but this is a clean slate. I don't know if they have 10 players on the roster that played on Sunday that are going to be on the team next year.
Well, the point is that, but do you have any faith
That's the question.
that this is an organization that'll pick the right players? I'm a quarterback. I'm like, I'm pulling an Eli, man. I'm pulling an Eli, man. Hold on, send me somewhere else. I mean, I don't deserve this. I deserve better than this. I'm a decent human being. I don't deserve to be a member of this.
Would you honestly pass on being the number 2 pick? I mean that dead seriously. You have a chance to be the number 2 pick in the draft.
If I wouldn't mind the difference between 2 and 3 if 2 were the Jets.
Okay, I can see that.
I'd like to go number 1. All right, can you give me a number 3? Can you give me a number 3? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking. I mean, listen, when Jason Tatum was drafted by the Boston Celtics, he was drafted, at the 3rd spot. Philadelphia moved up Brian Colangelo. Danny Ainge holds him into it. You end up drafting Markelle Fultz. But he knew he wasn't nobody was going number 2 because they were locked in on Lonzo Ball. That